6 months ago, surviving me was just an idea, literally. I didn't know if anyone would listen. I just knew something honest to say, something healing to say. From the stress of finding the right name to the moments I almost walked away, to the distractions that tried to pull me off course, this podcast has been a mirror of my own survival. So today, we're celebrating 6 months. Woo, woo. Of lessons, stories, and growth. So if you like to see the full version of this episode, which I'm talking about seeing every facial expression, every moment, if I talk with my hands a lot, so if you care to see that, this episode is also available on YouTube because this one is personal. So let's get into it. I figure I do like a real raw reflection of why Surviving Me was even created. And if I go into why it was created, baby. So back in 2023 was probably like one of the hardest times in my life for me emotionally. I went through one of the lowest of lowest points I ever been in. And while I was going through that time, I don't know, I really didn't see me getting out of it. I felt alone, even though I had people around me who was very supportive. If you don't know, I shout my mom out on my episodes all the time because that is my girl. Shout out to her always. And when she do her episodes, she going to tell you what she like to be called. But yeah, shout out to her. So even though I had support around me, I felt alone. I felt like even though I had support, the people who support me didn't truly understand what I was going through. And I felt like I really didn't have a release for it. So in a sense, I caved into this crazy depression that I was in for about, honestly, I just now came up out of it at the start of this year. So from 2023 to now, I was in like this crazy functional depression. I was just going through the day, but I was sad as fuck. Like I never been so sad in my life. During that era, I was trying to figure out ways like how to get out of it. So I started meditating. I started like really connecting with my spirituality and really just grounding myself, because I realized when I am grounded, that's when I feel the most myself. That's when I am the most happy. That's when I'm the most lively. So I looked at things on how to ground myself. I started doing research. I looked at meditation videos. I did the whole nine. I'm talking about I was sitting outside in the sand with it, doing the yeah, don't play with it. Mama was just trying to find any way to get back to herself. So then the start of this year, Surviving Me was born for that reason alone, because I wanted people to feel like they're not alone in what they're going through. Because a lot of the times, what we don't realize is when we're going through stuff, we feel like, oh my God, this is the worst thing that's happening. And a lot of the times we feel like it's only happening to us until we come out and speak about it. And you realize a lot of people going through some of the same things we go through. This thing we call life is not as easy as it may seem. And there's no instruction manual. Nobody really knows what they're doing. Because of that, motherfuckers really just trying to get through it, okay? And that's all Surviving Me is about. Getting through the hard stuff and not being alone and doing it. And here we are. But the real OGs know that when Surviving Me first started, we was not called Surviving Me. We were called Her Way Through, the Glow Up Diaries. And the reason why we was called Her Way Through, the Glow Up Diaries, is because I was using it as my release to finally talk about the stuff I was coming up out of. I wouldn't say that when I started the podcast that all the topics I was talking about I was fully over, because I wasn't, but I was at the end of being over it. I was healing, but I wanted to finally get that final release of just letting it all out and just moving on from it, which is why when I first started it was called Her Way Through, the Glow Up Diaries, because I was using it in a way of like a diary style, just really just laying it all out, being vulnerable, being raw, saying whatever I need to say, no matter about what anybody feel or think about it. And it wasn't until I had my first few guest episodes that I realized it was no longer just my way through. It developed into now we're surviving me. I'm surviving me, and all the guests who come on my story have survived themselves as well. And that's why the name changed to Surviving Me. The walk back to yourself is the real work. Facing your inner demons, dealing with your inner traumas, facing that little kid in you that didn't get loved, or whatever the case may be, is the real work of this thing we call life. And hence how Surviving Me was born. And now here we are at 6 months later, and we're still thriving. And we're even getting better. We got a website now, which we did not have in the beginning. We got a podcast mic, which we did not have in the beginning. The audio got better. I mean, I went through so many trials and tribulations with this podcast in a matter of 6 months. It's crazy. When I first changed the name, that was a whole experience in itself. I was like, no, I can't do it. That's going to seem unprofessional. People not going to take me serious. How I come out with one name and then I'm changing the other name. We're not even a year yet. But my mom was like, if you're going to do it now. This is the perfect time to do it. If you do change the name, don't do it when you all established and everybody know you by a certain name, then you try and change it. And then it was okay. I was like, okay, once I came to the realization that I was changing it, trying to find the perfect name was the hardest thing ever. I went weeks trying to figure it out. I was talking to my brother. I'm talking to my mom, giving suggestions. Then I finally came up with this one name, and how I knew Surviving Me was the name, because when I heard it, it felt right in my soul. When they heard it, they instantly said, I like that. And there it was. The name was Surviving Me. But that was a whole process. That took about a few weeks. I'm not even gonna lie. And then we get into the discouragement of it. I went through a few discouragement moments when it came to this podcast. When you start to use a podcast platform, and what the platform is basically it will distribute your podcast to all the places where podcasts be for you, and it will also give you a way. Some of them offer a way that you could go live on it through the platform. You can invite guests through the platform, all of that. But these platforms cost money. So I went through this phase where I was trying to figure out which platform was the best option for me by saving the most amount of coin. Because, of course, when you start out, all the money I'm putting into this right now, I'm not getting back. So it's like, hold on, we got to be a business. We got to think from a business mindset. While I do want this money to grow, and I know that you got to spend money to make money, I'm not trying to go broke trying to make money. Okay, you got to think about it in a smart way. So I went through Podbean. Podbean was great, but Podbean would be somewhere I could go when I get like into the 100. Like I'm having 100 and some listeners daily. Coming soon. That's happening. That's not if. That's going to happen. That's more so that way where I'm actually kind of getting some type of money from it. So I had to switch from that. And when you switch, you lose your analytics that you've been having this whole time. When I was on podcast, I was seeing like how many listeners I was getting daily, and I was almost at 100. We went up to like 70, like 80 listeners daily. I was so hyped. But then I had fell off because I had distractions in my life, men coming to my life. I'm trying to think I could have a relationship, deal with my kid, go to school, go to work, and do the podcast. Baby, no, one of them had to go. And because of that, I put the podcast on the back burner. Then I started being so consistent with it, which was the stupidest thing I could have did, because when you stop being consistent, your listeners fall off, and that's basically what happened. We went from having 80 daily listeners to only having 50, and I'm not gonna lie, that discouraged me. I was ready to be like, oh, you know what, bunk it then. Like, maybe that's not it. But you know what? I didn't. I stayed consistent. I said no, because I know it is it. If I put the work in and think of this podcast like this is my baby, I want this to work. I know it's going to work. Nobody else have to believe in my vision, because it's not their vision to believe in. I got back consistent, and I decided to switch platforms to Captivate, which is way cheaper now, but I lost my analytics. So it looks like on Captivate that the amount of listeners I'm having, we're like back to square one, which was another discouraging moment for me. But I just had to realize, like, just because that's what the numbers are saying, those are not really true. I know all my episodes had got listeners to them based off of what Podbean was showing me. Every episode I ever dropped had listens on it. But on my end now, when I look at it on Captivate, it shows nobody listening to it. So you can see how that could be a little discouraging. But you just got to stay consistent, and which I did. And then on top of me being more consistent, I became more personable. I'm coming on camera now more. I'm showing my personality. I'm letting y'all know this is my baby. This is my soul. And because of that, people feel it. People feel when you're genuine. People feel when shit is real, and people love realness. That's the real reality of it. So because I kept doing all that, of course the numbers start going back up. And now we're at 6 months, baby. Happy 6-month anniversary to Surviving Me. Thank you to every listener who ever stopped and listened. And y'all don't know how much y'all mean to me. Even if you only heard 1 or 2 episodes, that's a support regardless. But shout out to the listeners who listen to every single episode, baby. My heart is filled with gratitude. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love y'all. I love that y'all believe in my vision. Thank you so much. Happy 6-month anniversary to Surviving Me. We're only going up from here. Please understand. Please believe it. And please know that I mean what I say. It's only going to get better from here. We're going to have more guest episodes coming soon for y'all that you don't want to miss. We have the brand new segment I've been talking about. I promise it's coming. Behind the Walls with the incarcerated male stories and stuff. I'm telling you, I know that segment going to go hard. These men got some stories that they want people to hear, and I hope people give it a shot, because just because they're in jail don't mean their voice can't be heard. So yes, I have so many things coming in store for y'all. Thank y'all for rocking with me this long. Please continue rocking with me going forward. As I always say, no matter what page of healing y'all on, y'all are not alone and you're not behind. Keep going through it, keep growing through it, and keep glowing through it, because the journey back to ourselves is the real work. And I will see y'all next episode. 6 months down, and we're just getting started. To everyone who listened, shared, or found a piece of their own story in mind, thank you, thank you, thank you. The next chapter of Surviving Me is deeper. More guest stories, more healing conversation, and brand new segment, Truth Behind the Walls. If today's episode moved you, leave a rate and share it with someone who needs it. And make sure you're subscribed to the Glow Letter on Substack for reflection prompts that keep the healing going. Until next time, keep surviving, keep growing, keep glowing, and I will see y'all next episode.
The silence, I've wrestled the shame, faced all my demons and called them by name. This ain't for sure, it's deeper than deep. I'm surviving me, not losing sleep.